Today's video is all about BasedAi, a layer 1 network for ZK LLMs and smart contracts. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive into this project, looking into some of the fundamentals, the team, the tokenomics, the overall value proposition, and more importantly, trying to figure out whether this project has what it takes to make it to our portfolio for the up and coming bull run. So you know what, let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome on the channel. We talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunities. Whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 7:30 Eastern, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, today we're going to be doing a deep dive into the project, looking into what some of the fundamentals. We want to figure out whether we should be buying into this for the remainder of this bull run. You know, is it a bullish project? Is it part of a good narrative? Is the team where it's at? Is the fundamentals, you know, lining up and obviously getting us fundamentally bullish? And as we do see the need for mass adoption, does the overall project, you know, contain what it takes in order for us to get the retail market in? This is where we're going to get the volume in, is from the retail market. And I'm going to be basically looking if this project has the right packaging to get the retail market involved. And of course, these deep dives come in from a retail perspective. Does the website, offer everything that we need? Does the white paper make sense? Does it have all the information that we need to get fundamentally bullish? Are the tokenomics, panning out so that we can feel comfortable as, investors and so on and so forth? So let's jump right into it, guys. We're going to use the main website here as our main outlet to kind of figure out whether it is good or not, in the sense that you can kind of see that we this is the website pretty much, like BasedAi. This is the main page. This is what you got, right? So if you look at it, not much graphics, not much creativity here. It's very simple, very, maybe we could even call it technical. Release candidate Cyan is live. So I feel like that's, really what's happening is they're transitioning from testnet to mainnet, and we're getting a bit of an update here along the way as to they're going to mainnet. What that means is that they are developing their own layer 1 in order to cater to their needs a little bit more specifically, rather than using Ethereum as a base layer. They're creating their own base layer, their own layer 1, and of course that comes with a lot of customizability and other features and other options, of course, for ecosystem growth. And this is what I'm hoping that we can really understand, is that they're transitioning from using Ethereum as their layer or as their layer 1, and they're tokenized at the current moment, and then going on to their own layer 1, their own based AI layer, and then being able to come up with their coin or have an actual coin that represents their layer. Now in that case, what we could eventually see is an ecosystem that grows within the based AI narrative, and that would be really bullish for the project. But we can see that currently they're transitioning into that phase little by little. I feel like there was a few delays along the way. If you go check out their X post, there's a few delays. We'll talk about their socials in a second and all of that. But overall, okay, let's begin. Let's see what else we can gather from this website. Of course, it's very limited, and I'll just clearly say it's not very let's say marketing friendly. It's very simple. There's nothing really here that is engaging, and doesn't need to be super engaging, but it should offer some information to get us a little bit hooked, right? A little bit interested, get us wanting to go to the next page, a type of thing. So a layer 1 network for ZK LLMs. We need to really define what this all is, and you should be very clear as to what a smart contract is also. And if you're not, I would really suggest that you do some extensive research in the cryptocurrency space, because really it's about smart contracts or not a smart contract, right? And to a degree, all crypto projects, including Bitcoin, is quote unquote a type of smart contract. It's just about what level of intelligence or smartness do you really have in your contract. Where when you get into EVM or Ethereum based projects, and then you're using an Ethereum contract, and that would be nowadays classified as the base of all smart contracts. Although there are a lot of layer ones that offer smart contracts, we just really have to understand that the smart contract allows more functionality. Let's put it that way, more intelligence into autonomous, execution of different functions, and that's where comes programming capabilities come into play. All right, so layer one network for ZK LLM. ZK is basically a privacy feature protocol that allows ZK rollup, something else that should be really investigated and being familiar. It allows data to be obtained and released with a layer of privacy without the actual data itself being exposed to the network, which is obviously great. Like if you're getting involved in something that is private, a little bit that needs to be censored to a degree, whether it be health records or financial or whatever the case is, something that you want it to be private. The reality is that you can interact within the network without actually exposing the details within that information, but still have the benefits from a blockchain feature or blockchain benefits. Obviously, the interoperability, the safety, and all that other benefits that blockchain technology offers, but still giving you that layer of privacy with your data, which is good because we're talking about an AI project here. At first glance, it doesn't even look like an AI. Now, if you looked at the name, BasedAi, get based.ai, yeah, so you can probably, decipher the fact that it is an AI project. Now, how does this privacy come into play here? Which I think is a good thing. You have to understand that now data has become a very, very hot commodity in the, in this industry, and data becomes, commodity that can be bought and sold on the open market. Now, what about if you do not want to be the product? In this case, what about if you don't want to be the individual that's basically giving away your personal information, and in fact, you value privacy? Well, having an AI, right? Not, just a regular AI that, allows us to interact with the AI, and that AI takes our information and uses it to basically train their model even better, using our own information that we provide to it. In this case, BasedAi doesn't do that, right? The information itself, the details behind our communication with the AI model is basically private, which is, well, if you're looking for privacy, this is where it's at. This is the value proposition here, right? And then when we talk about LLMs, in this case, we're talking about large learning models, which basically is how learning models, let's call them chat bots, chat AI bots like ChatGPT, the early versions of it, of course, we can also obviously scroll back time and look at how it has developed. And the reason why it's developed over time is because more people use it, and we technically provide data to the learning model. The more information, the more questioning, the more information we provide, the more it grasps that information, and then is able to synthesize that information and give us better responses, better learning language models, essentially. So in this case, it's a ZK rollup, it's a ZK privacy thing, but also being able to train the model in learning model and provide that chat GPT type of feeling, which is what we kind of want. We want to see where this industry is going. It's a very new industry, but we see a lot of AI projects coming out hot within the narrative that is definitely looking great. But again, the privacy and the learning language model definitely has applications for the future. So I like what's going on here, and obviously the smart contracts and all of that. But what's very confusing to me is that I'm not very clear as to if the layer one is actually in mainnet or not, right? We do see that a lot of talk on the socials, and I'll be clear, their socials are very, very limited, which kind of bothers me because there's no way to actually get in touch with any of the team, or even within the community, in touch with individuals that have been, with BasedAi from the beginning, that are well versed, that understand the project very well. So at this current moment, like, there's a little bit of ambiguity, number one, because of the lack of communication, and number two, there is a limited amount of information that you can get from a white paper, especially when you have questions that need to be answered. Now, the white paper is well written. We'll go through the white papers in a second. But sometimes just to provide that security, especially when you're talking about the retail market that doesn't necessarily have a computer science background or is not new to, or maybe is new to crypto, they might have some, clarifying questions that might make them, even more bullish than they were just by looking at this website. So we have to understand that, X and other, because really that's all they have at the current moment. There's no Discord, there's no Telegram. I can't really find any way to get involved with any community here at the current moment. So that's a bit of an issue for me. But I am curious as to what's going on with the development with regards to getting into their layer one, their actual mainnet. I'm not sure where they're at with their progress. And to go even further with that, I might as well continue. There's no roadmap. There's no clear direction as to where they're going with this project, even within a short time frame or a quarterly basis to give me an idea of where their efforts are being placed at the current moment. I can insinuate based on their limited X posts, because that's another thing we'll talk about. Their engagement on X is also very limited. There is a small amount of information that gets me to believe that they're not in mainnet yet. But on their website, it's like they're saying that they're a layer one already. Now, I went on CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap, and you can see that they're still promoting or still saying that they are using Ethereum as their, basically smart contract platform or their network. So we have to see where we're at with this. It's very difficult for me to get into more detail. And this is obviously an issue with BasedAi. It's not necessarily the issue of the retail market. Their job is to actually give us all the information we need to get fundamentally bullish. And if there's a lack of information, who takes ownership for that scenario? I believe that right now could be a project that has great tech. It could be the case, right? And they just lack a bit of a marketing initiative, a business model that can wrap this up for product market fit and get this ready for the retail market and obviously for mass adoption. So I know I'm getting a little bit everywhere here, but you can see that it all kind of intertwines together because community building is important for releasing updates and getting information and educating the market, the retail market, for mass adoption. And I'm all about mass adoption. If we want projects to basically succeed, we got to get away from the VCs. We got to get away from the VCs, and we got to get more accustomed and more appreciative of mass adoption of the retail market. They are going to bring in the liquidity that is going to most likely stay and add value for a longer period of time, rather than VCs that just want to get in and their main objective is to get out with profit, right? So we have to really understand here what's happening. Now, I don't know, I don't see any major VCs up in this project. There's not much information, but we have a lot to talk about. So let's continue moving on. We do see that we have a white paper here. We have a block explorer, which I have open already. We have some documentation, and the documentation has a lot to do with becoming, let's call it a node holder or a brain holder and so on, to set that all up. And of course, this deep dive is not really about that. We're talking about tokenomics and big picture ideas here from a technical perspective. If you want to get involved in that, feel free. How to run BasedAi so you can become an active participant. That's different. If you're looking for career, obviously got a link there, which I kind of find it weird because they don't have anything else, but they do have careers, which is kind of strange to me. And then you have the trade, your ability to acquire the BasedAi token. Now you got to understand, in addition to this, while I'm here, because I don't plan on coming back to this page after I leave this, because there's not much information. The team itself is not doxed, which gives me a bit of an issue. I can't find any information about the team itself other than this. Apparently they are the team that was behind the old or original Pepe coin that was basically canceled earlier on for many issues. Historically speaking, if you look at the original Pepe token, it was canceled because of some racial issues that it came out with, and it was not appropriate. So really, it was basically blacklisted. Now all of a sudden, it's trying to come back, and of course the market really does, especially with the meme coin culture. It definitely gave it another avenue or another opportunity to get back in, and we do see that there's a bit of a connection here because it is, or they are the developers behind the Pepe coin, they are trying to integrate the Pepe coin into BasedAi. And that's a bit of a topic of conversation, of course, amongst community members, because the reality is that we don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. And we'll take a look at the white papers, because the white papers will kind of spell out the integration between the Pepe coin and Based coin or BasedAi coin, because ultimately that integration is very, very important, because it seems like the BasedAi coin, in fact, is bringing in utility for the Pepe coin, and Pepe coin, at the end of the day, is not really adding any value to the BasedAi project, in my opinion. Obviously, none of this is financial advice. So a lot of what I'm saying here is an opinion based, just based on what I'm reading and trying to understand here. I wish there was a community so I can get in there and kind of like stir it up and get people's feedback and ideas and what they think. But really, at this current moment, what I'm running by is the only information I have, which is the white paper. So let's jump right into the white paper and kind of look at a very technical document. Let me zoom in here a second so we can get a better view of some of this. And I'm not going to read this to you guys. Obviously, feel free to read it. Feel free to get fundamentally bullish on it, because really there's a lot of information here that even myself, I find it's worth it, but really it's not even that important, because it gets into a very technical thing. Let me see what else we got here. Can I move this over? Probably not. Okay, let's leave that alone for a second. If we keep on going down, you can see we have an abstract, ZK LLMs leveraging insight for generative network for data privacy. So they're getting into the privacy concept. And we talked about the LLMs, the language model, of course. And what's also interesting and a major value proposition, which I didn't mention already, it basically introduces decentralized infrastructure capable of integrating fully homomorphic encryption, so FHE, which is basically some sort of a very high level encryption that has become industry standard, which is important, of course, because you want to have that not only privacy with the ZK, but now you have an encryption layer that helps for increased privacy. So the framework is definitely important, this whole framework based on privacy. So they have what it takes from a technological perspective, which is good. The proposed framework also has a mechanism called Cerebrus squeezing, which is the mining process which enables transformation of standard LLMs into encrypted zero knowledge LLMs. So basically what I'm telling you is that as you train the model, the language model, your communications are being encrypted using this ZK, which is what we talked about earlier. Okay, so that's their main value proposition. And to be honest, it's a decent one. I'm all on board. I like the privacy concept. And, obviously AI, especially with the language models, we've been seeing a lot of good stuff coming out of that. Just on the basic side of AI as a language model, it has a lot of value here. So I do appreciate it. Let's keep on moving down, because that's the core utility here, the core value proposition behind the project, which is nice and clear. And you can see you have a table of contents that you're more than welcome to kind of like go through. But I'm going to just kind of go through the important stuff here. It's a decentralized network architecture, privacy at its core. They have the BasedAi platform. And as I'm going through this, there's a little bit of repetition, but what's concerning to me is this, the token name Based. Now, is Based going to be the layer 1, or is this just an outdated white paper? I'm not sure. Like, this is where I'm at with this, because the token, how it's listed on CoinGecko and CoinMarketCap, and generally speaking on other platforms, it's called BasedAi. Here on the white paper, it's called Based. Now, I'm not sure, like I said, if they changed their mind, they just need to update this, or because this is a few months old. And remember, the project is very young as well. It's only a few months old. So we got to understand that maybe some decisions have been made to keep it BasedAi, or maybe this is in preparation for the L1, and then they were going to call it Based. I'm not sure, but again, a community where I can ask questions would be awesome, but there's no such thing. So I'm going to leave it at that, because as a retail investor myself, when I look at this, I want to be able to get all the information I need. So I'm going to kind of have to bounce back and forth from Based tokens to BasedAi tokens. And if it was if Based, according to this white paper, was supposed to be the native token of the layer 1, technically it wouldn't be called a token, it should be called a coin. So for me, there's a bit of language issue, there's a bit of discrepancy with regards to the token name or coin name. I'm not sure what to go with, but this needs a bit of an update, because ambiguity like this causes a bit of friction for individuals. You want it to be clear and concise. Let's keep on moving on. BasedAi network supports a capped quantity of brains. So what we really want to do in with this white paper is understand what a brain is. And I feel like they did an okay job, 50-50 here, is explaining what a brain is. And we'll kind of go through where they kind of get into those details. But the brain is basically an individual that holds some sort of, let's say, it's basically a contract of some sort. It's an NFT basically, and I'll show you some of the details as we go through. Brain owners are incentivized with Based. Okay, again, remember the token. They're going to be receiving rewards as a brain owner to manage their brain. So the role of a brain owner is to be a manager of the brains themselves. And what are these brains really do? Of course, they select worthwhile ZK LLMs. That's their objective, is to select worthwhile LLMs and incentivize models that will attract computational power from both miners and validators. I think that sentence is jam-packed. And if I'm reading that correctly, what it is like almost like a gamification of these brains, where the brain holders have to kind of balance between miner and validators, and they want to basically get the most power out of them. And if they are able to get the most power out of the miners and the validators, essentially they get more rewards with Based. Additionally, the more Based staked to the brain. So in addition to that, by being able to find the correct combination of miner and validators to these brains, you are given the option to stake your Based tokens, and these Based tokens are going to allow you to improve your rewards over time, because of course you're staking up Based, staking up liquidity, you deserve a bit of rewards. And on top of that, you're basically using the brains to secure the network using miners and validator power, computational power. So this is a level, a tier. You're a brain holder, you're a top tier manager type of individual that is dealing with miners and validators and choosing the combination of miner and validators to improve the performance of the network, and ultimately you have the option to stake Based tokens, again improving your rewards of doing that. So that's a cool concept, a cool tokenomics, let's say, how you can gamify your earning capabilities. And you can see the brains, the more Based rewards they are going to earn. So let's see, brains, let's see if I can pick up where I left off here, because I'm going everywhere, all over the place. Additionally, the more Based staked to the brain and more efficient miners and validators are running on their brain, you see what I mean, the more Based rewards they will earn. So it's basically a combination of their validator and miner choices, and in addition, how many Based tokens you are staking up. Really cool stuff. I think that's interesting. There's an incentive for the brain holders to perform at peak, which is going to allow the network to perform at peak as well. This is something that needed to be clarified, because I feel like a lot of people are getting confused about what the brains are actually, what the role is into the network. So we got a bit of detail as to miners and validators. Nothing really new here. GPU resources, store allocation, stake your Based on the brain, start mining, and so on. So you can read this, because this is nothing. This is nothing new. This is all very typical, and obviously very useful for all networks. Kind of need validators and all of that. So brain permanent memory, I'm not really interested in there. Acquiring a brain. So this is where things get a bit interesting. Okay, so if you want to buy a brain, essentially what you have to do is, at this current moment, you need to be a Pepe coin holder. And what I want to really understand here is the relationship between Pepecoin and BasedAi is a relationship that is a little bit one-sided, because really what it's causing the one-sidedness is that in order to become a brain holder, you need to have Pepecoins. And those Pepecoins either get requirement user burns 1,000 Pepecoins, or these members increased by 200 peppercoins per brain issued by the burn method. So if you want more than one brain, you have to introduce an extra 200 peppercoins to the 1000, and so on and so forth. So if you want 3, by the time you get to the third one, you're going to have to spend 1400 peppercoins, if you get what I mean. So every brain requires an extra 200 peppercoins. So there's an exponential, a linear relationship between how many brains you actually own versus how many you're actually going to burn, meaning peppercoins. Now, a lot of us are thinking, but why peppercoins? Why are we burning peppercoins? It's going to add value to the peppercoin ecosystem, but is it going to really add value to Based? Now, if it was like, okay, you're going to be burning Based tokens or BasedAi tokens, that would be a little bit understanding, because then we have, basically a deflationary aspect of the project, reducing tokens over time. But in this case, we're causing peppercoin to be deflationary. And what's the incentive of a BasedAi individual to actually want to stake up or burn peppercoins if they're not a peppercoin holder? So in essence, what you have to understand is that if you really want to truly benefit from this whole ecosystem, you have to be a peppercoin holder and a BasedAi token holder, which for me kind of bothers me a little bit, because there's a dependency on the meme coin culture. So we can step this back a little bit and talk about the meme coin culture, because the meme coin culture is one that has been, doing very, very well in the last little while. And based on community conversations that I've had with many individuals, the meme coin culture has been correlated to the NFT culture of the past, which was a very, volatile, very fun and interesting environment, but obviously one that is very, very risky. Now, I'm not saying that meme coins are not here to stay, but I'm just saying that the meme coin culture might come to a time where it kind of like flatlines. And that usually happens with every industry, with any, speculative technology, even any new product that enters the market. It goes through its product cycle where it gets very, very popular, and then slow and steadily reaches an equilibrium where the true value comes in and the market gives it true value. Now, as you can see, the NFTs of the past, and I don't want to really make a total comparison, because NFTs are a slightly different technology in a sense, non-fungible token, but nonetheless, we have to understand that really it's about the market sentiment. Now, is there going to be a time where the market sentiment of meme coins is it gonna cool off, where it's gonna resemble NFTs? It may happen, but in a different way. NFTs right now are just misunderstood, in my opinion. Like right now, as far as my understanding, is the actual brains are NFTs. Okay, and we're going to talk about that in a second, of course. But the NFTs of the past are only thought about as JPEGs. And this is something that I was very clear on, even on the channel, with community members. NFTs of the past are very misunderstood. But if you look at a meme coin, the reality is they're just tokens like every other project without major utility. The only utility that you have is community, which is not a very strong utility. It's just a lot of hype, a lot of interest, and it's great. It's fun. I appreciate it, and I enjoy them. But the reality is that when they simmer down and maybe they don't become as fashionable, let's put it that way, what's going to happen with the actual scenario here with Peppercoin, for example? Peppercoin right now has been, drastically surpassed by the new Peppercoin that we are familiar with, the one that has done very well in the market. Whereas this Peppercoin, the OG, the original one that was basically blacklisted, is trying to make a comeback, right? And we have to understand that this one that they're referring to is the original one, but are we towards the tail end of the meme coin culture, craze? Are we done with it? And when that happens, how is that going to impact the BasedAi project? That's where I'm getting at, is that the correlation between meme coins and actual projects with a project with great fundamentals is Peppercoin going to drag down the the validity of this project. And my opinion is it's quite risky to think that it will not, right? It has that correlation. I think they're in a very different state. A meme coin and an AI project that's supposed to be, valid and very respected with a meme coin. I think that my opinion, there's a big disconnect there, and there's a lot of opportunity for misunderstood conclusions, in my opinion. So I don't know if this is a great idea to have this dual token system. And I don't appreciate dual token systems because of the ambiguity that it gets involved, especially for the retail market. But a dual token system that integrates a meme coin bothers me even more, in my opinion. Meme coins are great, but to introduce them into a project that's supposed to have great fundamentals and supposed to be taken seriously, in my opinion, is not the greatest scenario. So let's go back to this white paper, acquiring a brain. Brains can be acquired by using Pepecoin in two different methods, burning and staking. The method result in an issuance of an ERC 721 token, which basically is an NFT, a non-fungible token. Which represents ownership of the brain. The total issued supply is capped at basically 1,024 brains, and a simple BasedAi portal will be available for users to execute preferred method and to their Ethereum wallet, okay, and so on and so forth. So what's interesting is that they do mention something about NFTs in a second, and I'm not sure where it is. I should have highlighted it, but I didn't see it clearly here. It should have been here, but you get what I mean. Guys, feel free to read this in a little bit more detail and so on, and it definitely should get you a little bit bullish here, or at least start questioning what's going on. So burn mechanism, so you can burn or stake up tokens, and that's the basis of the Pepecoin. And you can see it puts a lot of emphasis on the Pepecoin. So requirement: users stake 100,000 Pepecoins for a period of 90 days. That's one way to do it. The brain ERC 721 is issued immediately upon deposit. Brain is non-transferable. After 90 days, you can see the base rewards, and then Pepecoin can be disabled and discussed. Okay, sure. Note, the same process as stake BasedAi is a brain which earns based networks rewards. Okay, so this is the thing. You're basically get rewarded for being a brain holder in based. Okay, so you are burning Pepecoins, you're staking based, perhaps, if you choose to do that, and based on your rewards, you are going to be rewarded in based. Staking Pepecoin via BasedAi portal is a one-time process used to acquire the brain NFT. Here it is. So this is, again, what I really want you guys to understand is the NFTs of the past are slowly being phased out, and we're using NFTs in a way that are not considered JPEGs any longer, which is good. So I appreciate this. I really do appreciate this. And of course, the challenge in today's environment in the crypto space is to re-educate individuals about what NFTs are really, what the value of NFTs and the utility that they have behind them. And they're much, much more than just the JPEG. So keep that in mind, okay? Let's continue going down. A brain deactivation procedure. Okay, a lot of little things here that I'm not really interested in. Build your own brain template. Again, read this through the different brains and how they're going to be issued and what their functions are, because the different brains are going to have different scenarios. Guys, just a side note, as an Ethereum based token at the current moment, it is EVM compatible, which is interesting. Now I'm wondering how their layer one, if their layer one is going to be EVM compatible. I'm assuming so. That would say definitely a very strong value proposition anyway. So I would suggest that, they focus on keeping it EVM compatible and in fact, it should be cross-chain, multi-chain across the market. Token, government, and utility. Okay, let's get into this. Obviously, there's tons of rewards. This is something that we have to understand. There's rewards, and this reward system is very important. And there's an emission schedule based on halving and so on and so forth. So again, tokenomics are important, but apparently, they're meticulously balanced. These factors and protocol ensures the rewards correctly correlate directly with active, stable, and sustainable participation in the network's ecosystem. That's fine. And the brains, you can see how the brains are so tied with the Pepecoin that it almost feels like you're really providing utility for Pepecoin itself rather than BasedAi. This is how I feel as I'm reading it. It's like, what use case does the Pepecoin Bitcoin really have in this case, or for Base, and what options does it bring for Base? Nothing much. But then you start looking into, you start looking into the actual emissions. You can see it's a yearly emission schedule. You get different block rewards over time, as you can see. The Base emissions, we're really early, so we're in the first year, and as the years pass, we're going to see more and more tokens, being released. This is very similar to the way Bitcoin works. Just to understand that, they're talking about an emission schedule that's supposed to be anti-inflationary, which I understand because there's a limited supply. And technically, as far as I understood, the limited supply is not completely limited. If it's considered to be Bitcoin, you have to, or like Bitcoin, which, they kind of relate to it being like Bitcoin. It's not really that it tapers. It just tapers up to a point where tokens are going to be released so very small amounts that it's not very a lot, or it's not going to be necessarily worthwhile to consider as it being an inflationary. It's so small, the amount of tokens that are going to be emitted. But in this case, what I'm curious about is, is the burning mechanism can be confused, right, with the burning of Pepe coins. I don't see a burning mechanism here for the BasedAi token itself, which would have been nice to see, but ultimately, or some sort of measure to keep things, deflationary over time, maybe a long period of time, maybe some sort of, a burning mechanism with every transaction or something like that. But really what we're seeing is just an emissions rate that, controls the amount of tokens that eventually get emitted into the circulating supply, which is at minimum, what we really want to see. We don't want to see an unlimited supply here, basically unlimited amount of tokens. Although what we have to understand is that there technically is an unlimited supply, given the fact that over time, after the 10th year, it's just going to reduce and reduce and reduce to the point that it's so marginal, the amount of tokens that enter, they're negligible. That's basically what I mean here. Very similar to Bitcoin. So let's move on from that. That's a good thing. We want to make sure that eventually we're not going to be printing more BasedAi tokens forever. We want to be able to, constrain that. BasedAi staking and performance incentives. Obviously, we talked about that, becoming a brain holder and all of that, validators and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's that. Initial allocation scheme. I don't like the word scheme, but you get what it is. 70% to the nodes and the miners, and then 25% to the brain owners. So the majority of the tokens that are going to be distributed are going to be based on rewards, and this is a healthy thing. It's very has a high resemblance to a fair launch, in the sense where there's no team allocation. I don't even see a token distribution schedule or anything like that, like how the token is going to be distributed. It's basically all rewards, as you can see. 25% to nodes, basically validators and miners, and 25% to brain owners. Great stuff here. That's it, plain and simple, right? No early investors or anything like that. Owner adjusted, so tokenomics are decent from that perspective. Other than the confusion or the issue with these Pepe coins, I feel like that, in fact, as I'm reading it, it makes me feel like it actually brings down the value of the project, in my opinion. Of course, I know there's a lot of people right now thinking Pepe coins or meme coins are the best thing ever, and it's so super bullish. In my opinion, it doesn't look like it's the best thing for a sustainable project for the long run, in my opinion. Okay, owner adjustments, stake weighted incentives, validator. Okay, a lot of good stuff here. I'm going to get into the important stuff that I think is important. Missions, okay, 50% brains, anticipate approximately, okay, APY. And you can see a lot of technicals. If you're into emission functions, mathematics, you got a lot of stuff here, a lot of technicals. And as we keep on going down, the utility, which is important, right? It starts to talk about the fact that the token itself can be used, obviously, for fees, operational fees, for computing different depending on your inquiries, your AI inquiries, you have to, there's a fee associated. And of course, there's always either it be a tiny fee, there's going to be some sort of fee that needs to be implemented here. Participation EVM fees, more fees. EVM is interesting because, again, virtual machine, Ethereum virtual machine, something to be considered as a great value proposition here for being cross-chain compatible to all Ethereum-based projects, which is great. great. Brain owners, let's see what else we have, which is pretty good, you know, governance and Gigabrains. Pepecoin, an ERC20 token. So again, I think they're going to go to the layer one. I'm not sure when that's happening exactly. But what's interesting here, Tether non-fungible token, okay. Brains reach owners of the Pepecoin are also permitted to participate in governance of the network. See, again, like, why so much importance on Pepe coins? I feel like what they're trying to do is sell Pepe coins rather than, you know, selling the value of the BasedAi coins. This kind of bothers me. Why is Pepe coin so integrated into this ecosystem to the point it gives it too much importance? And it kind of bothers me. Like, how are Pepe coin holders governing a BasedAi project? That it kind of bothers me. So, in fact, the BasedAi doesn't have a utility for governance. It's the Pepe coin. In fact, we should have a different white paper explaining that if you're a Pepe coin holder, you can basically get involved in the BasedAi governance. Problematic in a bit. Guys, tell me what you think in the comment section below. I'm not really keen about this dual system, especially with a meme coin. I don't know. I could be wrong here, guys, but I'm not willing to take chances here, not being clear about what's really going on here. Now, there's the model, the Cerebrus model, squeezing model, and I want to just get to a nice graph here that they have. They actually have a pretty many good ones to kind of dictate or explain what the ZK rollup really is. And this one right here does a great job. Let me see if I can zoom in just a little bit more. And you can see that really information gets encrypted. The encryption, an encrypted prompt is sent. Then it gets to, you know, the miners, and it gets to the processors or whatever needs to happen with that data. And then technically it goes back, the encrypted results go back. And at any given point, the network never sees the data itself, or the patient data in this case is using a healthcare concept or context. You can see that at any given point throughout this entire cycle, the actual network never get exposed to the medical records. And then as it goes back, at this point, it gets decrypted and the output is received back to the healthcare provider. So at this point, you can see that throughout this entire process, nowhere is the information exposed, which is obviously important. This is part of the ZK concept that we're talking. And ZK LLM applications, obviously there's a lot happening here. You know, feel free to read that, and that's the appendix. So that concludes the white paper. I think they did a great job trying to explain what's going on here. There's a lot more technicals, of course, but I'm going to keep it simple here for us so that we can kind of wrap our brains about the main fundamentals. Okay, let's get right into. Let's look at the wallet holders here on Etherscan. Again, this is available on CoinGecko. You can see that we still have a lot of tokens in the contracts, and these are the contract wallets, 53% in the contract that are meant for rewards, and the rest of them are liquidity on Uniswap and a few other exchanges here and there. But the majority of the tokens are nicely evenly distributed amongst many, many wallets. So, you know, I do feel the issue about this. Of course, 53% held in a contract. What about if the contract get exploited? Obviously, there's that risk, and we know that this is the wild, wild west of crypto. But we know that the contract, contracts of today need to be certified and audited, and so on and so forth. And this is something that we need to be very clear about. And it should be, if it is audited, it should be front, and center, right in this level at this on the website. But it's not there, and I wasn't able to really see it on the web page. And sometimes we do have it here, so let's see if we can go back, or BasedAi token holder chart. Let's see if we have it here, if it's Certec certified or any certification to give us a little bit. Token contract, this is the contract, and right now it's at about $3 in price, so it went up a little bit. It went up 3 cents in the overnight, so which is good. And yeah, the contract is I'm not seeing anything that it says it's certified. I might be looking in the wrong place. MIT license, I don't see anything of certification. And this is the contract itself, guys. It's open. You can go read the contract and see for yourself. This is the contract itself. There's a lot of information, of course, all the functions, obviously written in Solidity as an EVM project, so that's great. And obviously there's a lot of details here. Now if we go into dex tools and we look at the charts, before we look at the charts, really you can get some more information here. You can see that it's v3 on Uniswap, and a lot of information. I'm trying to look for if it was certified. Check audits and alerts. There's some auditing issue. There's an audit alert. There's one alert. What is that alert? That we got an audits disclaimer. Okay, so you can see that it got audited, scam risk questionable, but you know, if honeypots go plus, you know, there's very little warnings, which is good, and I'm assuming the contract is decent. Guys, of course, do your own research, do your own thing, because really at this point, it is, like I say, the wild west of crypto, and we don't really know what's going on in the space until you do your due diligence. All right, so guys, you know, overall, I think that the project is decent. I think it has a lot of good value here. So you know what, I do release a infographic for you guys, so let's get right into the infographic. Just as a quick summary, what is happening here with BasedAi? Obviously it's hovering around the $3 mark, as we said, and I'm going to be releasing this very soon, so we might get a bit of fluctuation in the price. Market cap is at about 106.5 million dollars. Trading volume is very low. Trading volume, I would have wished to see a little bit more trading volume, but it's self-explanatory based on the exchanges, right? It's not listed on many exchanges, and Uniswap is not going to give you the volume that you need in order to get that volume going. Pretty much the supply, what we really have to understand is that the supply is completely minted. Everything is minted, everything is locked up in a contract with an emission schedule, which we talked about already. We have the halving, we have that release schedule over 10 years, and so on and so forth. But we have to understand a lot of those tokens are already minted, which means that ultimately they are in circulating supply, but they're tied up to a contract. So the issue is, are they in supply or not? Now, if you go to CoinGecko, a self-reported circulating supply by the team apparently is that it's 100% in circulation, which I kind of agree, because it's fair to say that it is, given that the tokens are already minted. Now, what are we going to do with the fact with the contract? We got to make sure that we got to ensure or have, basically confidence that the contract is going to fulfill its duty, which is going to be to release tokens based on the emissions. And then we have the max supply of about 35 million. Again, to supply and max supply are equal because of the tokens already being minted. Fully diluted, it's a very small market cap, guys. A small market cap project. $100 million market cap is still very small, has a lot of good potential to the upside. And the good thing, or what's interesting, is a lot of people are comparing it to BitTensor, Tau. This could be a good thing, obviously, and I feel like there could be a correlation here, but at the same time, I don't really see the correlation because of the integration of the Pepe coin. Let's move on from that for a second, and we'll rephrase everything in a minute. Ecosystem, I like to use the word ecosystem when I refer to layer ones, and now I do think that they're going to have the layer one, the mainnet is going to be released. I'm not sure when or how or what, because the updates there's no roadmap or anything to give me any indications. And if you look at their X account, there's not much communication there, so I don't know what's happening, and there's nothing there, so I really don't know what's happening with their ecosystem growth. The current ecosystem is highly dependent on internal brains, miners, and validators. So this is something that we have to understand, that it's just an internal ecosystem, and again, not really expanding to third-party growth or anything like that at the current moment. Utility, pretty good. Brain operational fees, that's what you paid using the BasedAi token. Miners and validators must pay a registration fee in order to become a miner or a validator, so that fee is paid in Based AI. Staked BasedAi to brains will improve the reward. So these are the type of utilities that you can expect. The utility of the token, what is it really used for? The roadmap, there is none. There is no roadmap. I couldn't find anything, guys. If you know of a roadmap or anything like that, feel free to let me know in the chat or anything like that. Feel free to join the Discord and add some value here, but really I couldn't find anything. Okay, released testnet in preparation for layer 1 mainnet. Yes, I think they got 2 testnets going or something like that, which is great. Testnet delayed at one point. Okay, and mainnet is obviously going to be delayed because the testnet was delayed. So again, ambiguity all over the place with regards to timelines and so on. Now, I do understand the way the software industry works, being a part of it myself. I get it, but a bit of a quarterly timeline would be great, so that we know where the efforts are being placed. And based on the limited communication that they they have, I do assume that their main objective at the current moment is L1 mainnet, as far as I'm concerned. The team, not doxed. There's no information on the team other than the apparent connection to the team, the original team of the Pepe coin. That's all we really got. Like, is that, to be honest, I don't even know if that's true or not. Like, is it true? Is it not? I'm not even familiar, but that's what everybody says. That's what it says on the socials. That's something that we can kind of get proof on based on the white paper. And if it's the case, it could be a great thing. No doubt. They got a bit of a track record. They have a history. They're OGs in this space. Pepe coin being one of the first meme coins out there. I get it. But ultimately, without it being doxed, we don't even know if the original team members are still part of that team, if you get what I mean. Yes, it's part of the Pepe coin umbrella, but who's in the team still in part of that group? Or are there new members? Are there, members that are being swapped with others? And we don't know much about that. So really, because they're not doxed, I have no idea who they are, what their history is, what their education is, and if really what was their involvement in the original Pepe coin project. So team, I have no idea, guys. If you think Pepe coin from a technological perspective was state of the art, then that's a great thing. But as another meme coin, that's out there, look, I'm gonna have to be real. I don't know the team, and neither do you at this point. And they're not doxed, so we have to say what it is. Score is low because of that. Ambiguity is risky. The socials, they have 31,000 followers. Fine, that's decent for a small project. I get it. I just understand that marketing dollars nowadays are very, very tough because you're not getting anything very little reward for your marketing dollars. The market right now is a bit stale and no one's really interested, which I get. It's very difficult, but doesn't mean that you give up, right? And what I'm seeing here based on the stats on their socials is that for the last 30 days, their followers are down 58% in comparison to the last 30 days, which means that they're losing a bit of momentum here with regards to community. Not a good look, right? And if you look at how many posts they actually released in the last 30 days, they've written or posted 7 posts in 30 days, down 36%. That leads you to believe that what happened in the last 30 days, they were even less than 7 posts in 30 days. So guys, like, what's going on? Do they have a marketing team? I know they look like they want to be a fair launch or something like that, which means that there's no real team members. I don't know. Apparently there's a Pepe team members. I don't know what's going on here, but their marketing efforts need to be picked up really quickly. If they think they're going to just bounce off of the Pepe craze or the Pepe community, that could be their strategy. What do I know? But it doesn't look like it's working out for them because they're not getting much engagement on their socials, unfortunately. And going forward with that, they don't have anything else other than X, and we'll talk about that in a second. Tokenomics are good. Emission schedule undergoes having event annually, which is fine. We see more tokens being released every month, but at a decreasing rate, eventually tapering off to become very, very minimal. That's great. Tokens will be issued via multiple reward mechanisms, which we talked about already, being a validator, a miner, and obviously a brain holder. You're going to be rewarded for those, positions that you may have on the network. Burning of Pepe coins. Let's not get confused with what's happening with the burning concept, because burning of Pepe coins does not improve the tokenomics of the burning or of BasedAi tokens, other than making the brains a lot more scarce, and then ultimately the scarcity of the brains obviously having a bit of an effect of how many, because there's a limited amount of brains that are going to be issued. It just helps the tokenomics of Pepe coins, in my opinion, and really limited amount of correlation to what's happening with Based. Now, I know the rewards eventually, you get rewards for being a brain holder and so on. And if brains become obviously scarce based off Pepe, there's a correlation. And this dual token system becomes a little bit, ambiguous for newcomers. And it's not really the cleanest, in my opinion, especially getting into a token that is considered to be the OG of memes. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Guys, I'm on the fence about it. Of course, feel free to let me know and chime in the comment section below. Partnerships. There is none. I don't see anything with regards to partnerships. If that's even part of their incentive or motivation is to have any partnerships, but we know that being part of the community or a community is great, and I don't see anything or any effort of them being part of a community. Exchanges, Uniswap, they have very small exchanges, centralized exchanges listed here. There's not very low liquidity, and that explains why we have low volume, which means that if you want to get in and out of this token, it's going to be very hard because there's not a lot of trading volume. So let's hypothetically say that in a bull run, this thing flies to much higher levels, right? Based on, supply and demand. It goes to much higher levels. But if there's no volume and no liquidity, how are you going to sell it? On paper, you might have done very, very well, but when it's time to sell, are there going to be any buyers? Or is there going to be a marketplace for the BasedAi tokens, which kind of bother me, right? So this is either an opportunity or a weakness. Opportunity is that it gets listed on other exchanges, right? KuCoin, MEXC, and going all the way up to Binance and Coinbase, if it ever does happen. And in that case, of course, we're going to get a lots of trading volume, a lot of hype and interest and so on, and obviously price starts rocketing to the top, much higher. But we got a lot of work to do here, lots of work to do. Okay, so let's move on from this. Let's go overall to my overall verdict, my overall impression. Feel free to read the overview. It's just a bit of an overview of what I already talked about anyway. I'll be releasing this on my socials if you want to give it a read. So overall, it is an AI, LLM, large learning model. It's part of the narrative. It's a privacy, ZK, roll-up type of privacy. Homomorphic encryption, FHE. So it's fully encrypted. Data is fully encrypted, never exposed to the chain or to the network. It's EVM compatible, so it's an EVM because it's built on Ethereum EVM. It's part of the meme culture. Is that a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Still, it's part of the meme culture, which from a marketing perspective, as of today, or even as of slightly of late, it's been very, very good, right? That would have been a great value proposition. Good idea and value proposition altogether. I like the concept, being private and keeping your information private, especially now with all these AI models, very hungry for data, means that we need to be very protective of our data, of our personal information. We don't want our data to be the product, ultimately, for us to be the product, right? Especially when things are free and so on, we technically become the product. And data being such a valuable commodity nowadays, I feel like there's an incentive for us to want to be private. So great stuff. I appreciate that. And that is a very high, very great value proposition. Now, what some of the things that bother me, like I mentioned, dual token system with the Pepecoin, not crazy about that. Pepecoin is an ERC20 token used to fairly distribute the brains. This is how their incentive is to fairly distribute brains based on, Pepecoin holdings, right? Which you earn based emissions from every block. Guys, again, I'm going to just make sure that you guys understand that I'm using the word or the ticker based and BasedAi interchangeably, because so does the team, so does the market, right? The white paper says based as a ticker, and then if you go everywhere else, it says BasedAi. So I'm not sure where to go by here, so I'm going to kind of be flip-floppy as well. As I'm getting the information, I'm just relaying information as I see it. So for every block created on BasedAi network, basically you're going to get some sort of base tokens. A brain is owned and managed through a tethered non-fungible token, again an NFT, on Ethereum using the ERC 721 standards. That's an NFT standard, not the ERC 20s, which is a token. The ERC 721 is an NFT standard. This is where, again, education would be great for newcomers that are coming in, thinking that NFTs of the past basically have to be NFTs of the future. The ERC 721 are not just meant for JPEGs, and this is a great example of how a crypto project is using NFTs in a different way other than just JPEGs. So good stuff here. This is a great example of that. Brain holder efficiency, managing brains to maximize miner and validator computational resources. So that's the incentive of a brain. A brain holder, they want to maximize the miner and validity computational resources, because ultimately the brain holder will receive more rewards for doing that. And of course, making the network itself a lot better, running a lot better because of its, efficiency capabilities. Is integrating meme culture a valuable and sustainable thing. This is something that, guys, could be up in the air. I have no idea, but I just feel that things come and go. Fads come and go. We the cycle of the past. The cycle of the future. I don't know what's going to be happening with the meme coin culture. I believe that ultimately they are going to be here they're going to be here to stay. Not until we get a bit of pain in the market, which means some of these meme coins need to get flushed out, and some of the individuals that are taking too much risk into the meme coin culture need to be flushed out as well, leaving behind, I think, some of the top players in the memes will still linger and still be part of the crypto culture, but maybe not at the level as we see them today. I don't know. I'm a bit on the fence, especially as we get into a cycle of this bull run where we need to see fundamentals start to wake up just a little bit. Will the history of the original Pepe coin deter major exchange listings? That's something that you got to consider as well. The history of Pepe coin is not the greatest. It's it's very dark in the sense, very racial and so on. I'm not going to get into details there, but feel free to do your research about the Pepe coin, the original Pepe coin, in the sense that, our, traditional, businesses such as exchanges that are already under scrutiny going to take on such projects with that type of history. I really don't know if that's going to deter them from getting major listing. That that correlation with Pepe coin may not be a good thing, right? It may not be a good thing. So let me know again what you think. If they got Pepe coin got blacklisted, why would a Binance or a Coinbase want to get involved with this project being so correlated with Pepe coin? I don't know, just my 2 cents. Website is underdeveloped. It needs something. It's just a landing page with no information. They rely on the white papers. Mind you, the white paper is well written. I appreciate it. It has a lot of information. It could be a little bit more user friendly in the sense for retail market mass adoption. But nonetheless, that's that. White paper needs an update. I think the reference to BasedAi needs correction or at least clarification. I'm not sure what's going on there with Based. I'm not sure what's going on with BasedAi. What is the ticker? How can we refer to this appropriately? And I shouldn't have to, as a retail investor, dig around forever and days and try to figure it out, especially without any community to go ask. No Discord, no Telegram, no nothing, guys. No sense of community. With the lack of Telegram and Discord, there's a bit of an issue there. I feel like that's really putting them at a disadvantage, and especially as they want to integrate the meme coin culture. The meme coin culture thrives on community, and the fact that they do not integrate community kind of bothers me here a little bit. The mainnet, some updates on the mainnet could be more frequent or at least more clear what's going on there. They have X, but they don't really post too much, as I mentioned before. And marketing and overall packaging is not ready for retail market, guys. It's not very intriguing. I'm not really interested because of it. I don't see any type of infographics or anything that can get me spell this out to me clearly. And what's typical in the market is that when you want to get informed as a retail investor, everything is laid out to you very nicely. And we have to understand that can't expect the retail market to have a computer science degree or to be, even crypto savvy in order to want to get involved, right? You should want to reduce those barriers of entry and that friction to get all involved. And I think that they're not doing a great job with that. They really need to provide that, seamless interaction with their ecosystem to get more people involved with a layer of comfort. All right. So that's that. Now, my overall verdict, let's be clear about what I'm saying here, is that if everything goes right, and if the comparison to BitTensor Tau is valid, we could see it catch up to BitTensor Tau. BitTensor has done great things in the last little while, and we've seen, BitTensor reach a much higher market cap. Now, if we do see Based reach that level or catch up, if it's meant to be its competitor, I don't see I can see a price target of $50. It's very possible, but again, they have issues. Like I mentioned, a lot of issues in order to get resolved to reach this target, to be a competitor, a valid competitor. Now, I'm giving it a rating out of 4 out of 10 because of all the issues and all the things that I see, all the lack of ambiguity and all the, the ratings and all the details that I've offered you here today. And of course, guys, I'm hoping all the best for everybody that gets involved into this project. But I think position size is very, very important here. Like if you're going to go all in on this, just understand and assume the risk. If you are, looking to dabble in and, diversify your portfolio, definitely scaling in bit by bit as we get confirmations, as we get, updates throughout their development. We could get fundamentally bullish at a different level. Maybe we get a roadmap going. Maybe we get some, the team members coming out, and that would be really, really bullish. Ultimately, yeah, it seems okay, but really, it's all about position size. Be careful out there, guys. All right, guys, let's move on. Let's take a look at charts. I know you want to talk about charts, so let's do that. Let's take a look at what's going on, because really, the charts can give us a bit of detail as far as the entry. Like, what kind of prices could we be expecting here in the next little while? We can see that base fell down significantly, and it's not exclusive to base. Like, I'm not trying to say that base is dumping and only base. The market in general, the overall market cap here in the crypto space is coming down, right? We were at about $2.2 trillion in the last little bit, and we can see that we're falling and we're making a lower low. And again, it's not just BasedAi that's doing this. You can see we made a lower high and now we're making a lower low. Now, what I do see also with regards to this is that we do have a nice rally up, which means that this rally up has to have a bearish response. And I feel like that's what we're getting here at the current moment is a bearish response, which is an ABC type of corrective pattern, right? A corrective pattern usually comes in with a three-wave structure, whereas an impulsive pattern usually comes within a five-wave structure, meaning that the five-wave structure usually have some major impulsive moves in between. And we can see that this definitely happened, I'm not an Elliott wave guy, but you can see that this is pretty much where we want to be getting support. Look at the previous price action right here. We got a bit of volume, a few emotional individuals. We have a bit of a volume gap also. Let me get some horizontals up in here. Let's see how well I can navigate this. Horizontals right into here. We go there. That's a nice horizontal level. And there are obviously more horizontal levels that we can keep an eye on, because if we fall right through this area, we can come down to about $1 very easily. And the reason why I say that is because there's a volume gap right there. As you see the volume profile right here on the right, there's an empty space, which means that this empty space provides weakness. At this point, we went from this consolidation straight up with no consolidations in between, which means that there's no support levels, which means that ultimately we can fall through this volume gap and hit $1. Right now, but what about if we get some support right here, which would be absolutely great? If we get support at this level, we need to get proof of that support stemming from, some sideways price action and a change of character, because as of now, we're making lower lows and lower highs. What we would like to see is something that, maybe comes up, makes a higher high in comparison to this high, and then comes down, makes a higher low, and then goes for that higher high. And then people are going to start claiming, inverse head and shoulder. And that's what inverse head and shoulders really do. They show you pivot point. They show you necklines. They give you an idea that maybe we're going to be using this as a reversal area and eventually start making higher highs and higher lows where we start going parabolic. And that's really what we want to see here when we start building the change of character. As of now, there is no change of character. Okay, so we have to understand that, which means that the lower lows and lower highs could continue until proven otherwise. And the only way to get proven otherwise is to wait for the change of character. Now, if you look at the momentum at the current moment is basically double bottoming. We're seeing that the RSI is double bottoming. It is a Class C bullish divergence, double bottom on the RSI and lower lows on the price action. That's a bit of a divergence, not the strongest divergence, but we can build stronger divergence as the price action keeps on falling, right? This is what we want to watch out for, is clear divergences here on the daily. Going in on lower time frames right now is very difficult. Reason being, as you can see, we can get into some sideways chop action before we get that reversal, and within a range of chop action, we always look for liquidity hunts. There's always sweeps to the lows. There's always that accumulation range that gets people wrecked. So be careful, wait for clear confirmations for that reversal before you get into major positions, right? You want to be able to scale in slowly and diversify your risk as well as we get those confirmations. And the trend right now is so indecisive, guys. You got to admit, look at this indecision. Look at the EMAs kind of going sideways, going up and down, up and down. Look at the histogram bars going up and down, up and down. No real indication. So what we can say is, look, if we do get some support as we speak at the current moment, not bad of a scenario, right? We could definitely get some support right around this area. Let me get some, horizontal right around this area. We can get some support. And then obviously at the bottom of the volume gap, right into here, this is the last line in the sand where I feel like based on previous volume, right into this level is where we need to get some support. And that's where some liquidity could be hunted as well for a great entry for a bounce to the upside. So really what's happening in the last little while is that we are getting a continuation down, and we're looking for and hunting for a reversal. All right, guys, if I've offered you any value in this video, do the channel a massive favor, slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description below. Feel free to join the Discord, guys. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. Take care, guys. Have a good one. And don't forget, buy the dip.